And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It is June 1st, 2019. How is everybody doing this weekend? It is June already. School years are coming to an end. Kids are hitting spring break. And I don't know about you, but it makes me reminisce from when I was a kid and how that last day of school was so important, so exciting. You couldn't wait for the summer, making all these plans. What are you going to do? All the fun you're going to have, where you're going to go, all the things you and your friends can get into for fun and trouble. And this time of year, it's just exciting for kids. It's exciting for teachers. They're getting some time off. They're getting some time to breathe. The stress can relieve itself some. And for me, I'll be moving on from the position that I currently had with Denver Public Schools to a supervisory position with Denver Public Schools, overseeing the program that I was working in, teaming up with a friend and mentor of mine to help grow the program further, to help further service the students of the Denver Public Schools community. And I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. It's a great honor. I feel like I've earned the trust of the people. And, you know, that's just kind of what I've been doing since I last spoke with you guys. We had Memorial Day last weekend, so I did not have a show for you guys. We did not talk sports last week. So I'm back this week. There's a lot of things we could have gotten into, obviously. There's a bunch of little stories out there. There's a bunch of rumors always circling around out there. But today I definitely want to talk about the NBA Finals. I want to touch in on the NHL Finals, let everybody know where those are at. This idea of contracts in the NFL is really getting under my skin, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit, especially with the situation here in Denver that just went down with Chris Harris Jr. and the Denver Broncos. Let's give my 2 cents about that whole situation. University of Michigan goes from Beeline to Juwan Howard, or Bayline, however you pronounce it. So we'll get into that a little bit and what that could possibly mean for the program, things that were said this week by the athletic director, things like that. My thoughts on the Colorado Rockies ace, Kyle Freeland, as he has been sent down to AAA Albuquerque to kind of get it figured out. And then an amazing spelling bee this week. If we have time, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But let's jump into the NBA Finals first. It's the big thing that's out there. It's the most headlines, most money generating, all of that stuff. So we'll talk about that first. Obviously, if you're not in the know, it is Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors. The Toronto Raptors have the home court advantage with the better regular season record. Game 1 did take place on Thursday, so here we are. We're into Game 2 tomorrow, Sunday, June 2nd. That'll take place at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in Toronto. Now, coming into it, before the season started, or series, started, I'm out there on social media. I have my prediction out there. I am personally taking Toronto in 6. I did not change my prediction after watching the game on Thursday. I kind of questioned my prediction, even though Toronto got the win on Thursday. They did not look as impressive as I was hoping they were going to look. And Golden State, they looked like a team that had 9 days off. They looked like a team that knows they're good. They looked like a team that kind of went through the paces, wanted to see how Toronto was going to attack them, what kind of game Toronto was kind of going to bring to them. And even though Toronto did get both games in the regular season, they came into this one after playing a hard series against Milwaukee, knowing that they were playing Golden State, feeling that pressure. 5 straight finals appearances from this team. Could be one of the next teams or the next team to three-peat, joining the Lakers, the Celtics, the Bulls, teams like that have done it in the past. All of the All-Stars. Is KD going to play? DeMarcus Cousins is coming back. We've got Kawhi and Drake. Let's get into Drake. All right. The antics are ridiculous to me. I don't care. People are saying, Draymond this week saying he worked his ass off to get where he is so he gets a longer leash. No, that is not what the back of the ticket or the back of the seat or how the venue is run. It does not say if you've worked your butt off and you're worth millions of dollars, you can, void the back of this ticket and you don't have to follow the rest of the rules that everybody else does. There's always been super fans. There's always been celebrities sitting courtside. Yes, people like to see them there. They're like, ooh, who's here? Let's check it out. But those other people who have done it, those other courtsides outside of, you could argue, Spike Lee, do not get involved with the players. Do not get involved with the coaches. Do not get involved and step foot on the court. This is like what I was saying when Dame Lillard's family came on the court after he hit that buzzer beater shot and ended the series against the Thunder. You can't have different rules for different people because you're going to end up with some weirdo fan who goes, well, they did it. And then you're going to have a situation. So I'm glad NBC didn't put the camera on him. I'm glad there was no antics until the end of the game. And I thought it was awesome he had on the Del Curry Toronto jersey. That is exactly how you should be out there rooting for your team and trolling those guys. That's exactly the kind of thing your status can get you, even though you put the armband over the tattoos of the players on the other team, which to me is ridiculous. I'm not getting somebody else's players tattooed on my body. Somebody's jersey number tattooed on my body. But whatever. I thought it was great right up until the transaction between him and Draymond. And, they know each other. They run in similar circles. I'm sure they've hung out before. They're competitive. It didn't bother Draymond. It's not going to bother Drake. Enough said about that. Don't need the antics. Be a super fan without all the nonsense. Continue trolling with things like the Del Curry jersey. That was awesome. So Toronto takes the 1-game series lead. They got it. They got the game. Pascal had a career game, coming out party. We probably don't see that again out of him in this series. It's definitely not something that Toronto's going to be able to bank on. The idea that he's going to come out and get them 30-plus points, that he's going to come out and get 7, 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, that Kawhi's not going to have a good night. Kawhi looked tired or injured or something. There was no sprint. There was no lift. He wasn't dunking on nobody. There was something bothering him, or he's setting up for a performance. A little bit in the fourth quarter, you saw him turn it on. You saw him get more aggressive. You got to give credit to Andre Iguodala, the other claw, the other set of hands in this series, for locking him down a little bit, for putting him in situations that he wasn't able to work his normal game. You can't count on Golden State having 17 turnovers. You can't count on Golden State giving up 20-plus transition points, 24 transition points. You can't count on them giving up offensive rebounds. You can't count on a triple-double that's meaningless out of Draymond at 10, 10, and 10. If you come into Game 2 counting on that same kind of stuff to happen, you will find yourself on the losing end. And personally, I do think Golden State gets Game 2. I'm going to stick to my prediction of Toronto winning the series. I'm not so confident on 6 games anymore. It might go 7. But this is not going to be Golden State wins the next 4 to win their next championship. This will go at least 6, no matter who's going to win it at this point, in my opinion. They're going to need more out of Kawhi. They're going to need something out of Kyle Lowry. There was a couple times he drove it in there, put his body on the line. He took some charges, but there was a couple times he drove in there and decided to dish instead of going for the layup and getting that contact, which in today's NBA, if you got the ball in your hands, you can create the contact and they're going to call a foul. So if you're that far down in the key, if you're that far down in the paint, you might as well try and make something happen and see if you get the whistle. Pascal, they're going to have to, if he can give them 15 to 20 average, maybe have one more splash game in the series, that'd be great. For a guy who didn't start playing basketball until he was 16, 17, somewhere 18 years old, something like that, could still continue to develop, can still develop his skills, was a G League Finals MVP. 16 guys on these two teams spent time in a G League. So don't tell me professional sports don't need some kind of developmental league outside of the collegiate athletics. Which, if those developmental leagues were getting the money and playing the players that they needed, maybe we wouldn't have such corruption in amateur athletics. Maybe we wouldn't be selling these players the way we do in collegiate athletics. Side note, different story, different day. I expected Clay to come out and have a better game. I expected there to be a little bit more fire under him. He didn't give me what I thought we were going to get out of him going into the game. You know, getting snubbed, feeling like he was snubbed on the All-NBA teams. They didn't really have anybody who was just locked in scoring-wise. And like I said, they looked like they had been off for 9 days. They looked like a good team who had spent nine days not playing, going up against a team coming off a hard-fought series. Against the team with the best record in the NBA. Now, game 2, we can expect to be a lot different. Golden State's not going to come out with that same defensive performance. They're not going to come out and not have it going on offense. You can expect a little bit more out of their bench. And Toronto's going to have to bring it. They're going to have to bring it better than they did in game 1. Can they get game 2? Yes, they can get game 2. We still don't know if Kevin Durant is playing in game 2. At least I have not heard an official announcement at this point. So we'll have to see where that goes. I'm looking forward to it. Probably going to try and catch it with a couple friends. Tomorrow night, check it out. Game 2, NBA Finals is coming down. Another finals that are going on. We're 2 games deep into this. It's a 1-1 series right now with Boston and St. Louis in the NHL Finals. Boston did take game 1 4-2. They got 4 straight unanswered goals. St. Louis was looking good early, went up 2-0. But then Boston, you know, the helmet flies off, dude. He goes down. He gets the check on the other end, breaking up the play. And, you know, Boston just got inspired at that point. It's over 100 days since their last parade. Again, we've talked about this before. If they win this series, if the Bruins win this series, there'll be 3 teams in the Boston area currently holding 3 of the 4 major titles: football, baseball, and if they get this one, hockey. St. Louis did come back Wednesday in overtime and win the second game of that series 3-2. And then game 3 is tonight in St. Louis. If needed, game 7 is on June 12th. It's a 2-2-1-1-1 series. So we're set for 2 in St. Louis now. They'll go back to Boston, then St. Louis, and then finish this one up in Boston June 12th if needed. It's a good series. They're pretty evenly matched teams. They kind of play a similar style, in my opinion. They can get physical. They have some scoring. They're not the best skaters, but good skating teams. And they're just, you know, tough hockey playing teams, in my opinion. I'm not going to confess to be expert, on either one of these teams or this sport by any means. I'm a novice for sure, but it's an exciting time for hockey. Playoff hockey, like I will always say, is one of the most exciting things in all of sports, with the way they fly around and the physicality of their game. So if you got something to do this afternoon, you ain't got nothing to do, you know, your chores are done, you went out, you got the groceries going, you got some yard work finished up, garden's looking good, whatever, you spend some time with the fellas, you know, watch this hockey game tonight. St. Louis and Boston, NBA or NHL Finals Game 3. With that out of the way, we got the finals talk out of the way. There's something that's been bothering me this week, listening to it a lot because of the Chris Harris Jr. saga, if you will, that was going on the past few months here in Denver. Will he get a contract? Is he going to be traded? What's the contract going to be? Will it be an extension? Or are they just going to kick him a little bit more money for this year? What's it going to turn out to? Well, we finally found out this week what it was going to turn out to be, and it turned out exactly what I told you guys was going to happen. The Broncos were going to look to save face, so moving forward, it's a PR thing. Look, we do take care of our guys. It's not because he's older. We paid him his due. Here's his respect. We gave him the boost in the money. Young free agents, you can re-sign with us. Our own young players, see, you can look to re-sign with us. Other free agents that are out there, see, this is how we do business. We take care of our own. Blah. If you want to take care of your own, you wanted to give Chris what his due was, then you would have gone out there and you would have given him a 2 or 3 year extension, like I said a couple of weeks ago. You would have made it around a $36 to $40 million contract with around 27 to 28 guaranteed. That would have averaged out around 12 million, which is what you boosted him to for this year. It would have showed that loyalty pays off in the Denver Bronco organization. It would have shown that, yes, not only do we take care of our guys, but we take care of our Pro Bowl, all pro players. We take care of our guys that are top at their position in the league. It would have shown that our guys are as important as the free agents like Kareem Jackson and the Bryce Callahans that we brought in. But instead, it's not an extension. They just kicked a little bit more money onto his contract this year. Chris gets the most money on the team at the position, which he deserves at this point. He's been loyal. He's been one of the top guys. He's been a leader. He hasn't been a distraction. He's been good in the community. So some people say win-win, right? They didn't have to pay him. Well, that's the thing with the contracts in the NFL. I'm officially changing it today. I will no longer refer to what the NFL players sign as a contract, because that's all it is a con. Contracts are legally binding. You can't just go, oh, well, we don't feel like having you on the team anymore. We're not paying you. Guaranteed money part is up. The rest of the money is not real. That's why when I talk to you guys on this show about contracts, about NFL deals and the money that's in them, the only thing that matters is the guaranteed part. The rest of it is stupid. It's not guaranteed money, so don't talk about it. The only thing that goes into the deal is that guaranteed part, which I expect to be changing coming in the next collective bargaining agreement. NFLPA already telling everybody, make sure to tell your people to save money. The NFL has deals. Here's the deal. This is the deal we have right now. It could change tomorrow, but this is the deal that I'm going to give you money on and you're going to play for me on. It is not a contract. It's a con, but it's not a contract. We need to stop looking at them like contracts. Fans need to stop looking at them like they're contracts. Fans need to understand that the players have just as much of a right to try and rework their deal as the team does to cut the deal. You want to get mad about the business part of it? Be mad about the business part about it. Don't be mad that the player is deciding to play the business part of it because you just want them to be out there performing for you. That's not how it works. Be real about it. Get real about it. Put yourself in that situation. Make it your job. Make it your workplace, and the same thing's going. You come in on Monday, all of a sudden your boss feels like there's a slight dip in your performance. You just turned 35. I'm going to go ahead and cut you on Tuesday. But this 25-year-old who just came in, I'm going to give them more money than you were making. Because they're younger, I think they're going to give me more. You'd be irate. We'd have people going postal all over the place. So as you fans want to, sit there and troll people on the internet and call on the radio shows about how these players need to just live up to their deal and they're making too much money and blah, 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 put yourself in the position. Put that in your workplace. I bet your tune changes. And this was not about Kareem Jackson. This was not about getting more than Kareem Jackson. This was about getting the respect of being the number one guy, the best corner on the team, and finally getting paid as such. It could be argued when Talib was on the team who was the better corner, who got more production, because of the way that defense was attacked. But when Bradley Roby started getting paid more than Chris Harris, and they had to give him incentives just to get him up to Bradley Roby money, and then you're going to go out and get a Kareem Jackson and bring him in and pay him more, who's an older player, who's more often injured than Chris Harris Jr. was, that's disrespectful. So they gave him a 1-year deal. Chris said, hey, we'll give him the option of re-signing me. Told the fans on social media, let's go out with a bang. So they'll have their turn to try and sign Chris after this year. Chris is loyal. Chris wants to retire a Denver Bronco. And if he does leave this offseason, which I think is likely, he'll probably at some point come back and sign a one-day contract so he can retire a Denver Bronco. But the fact of the matter is, loyalty did not pay off for him. Loyalty got him basically a goodbye tour. Here's your severance package. We're going to give you $3 million on the way out. You're going to make a little bit more. You're going to be the number one guy on the team. Again, you're going to help us look good. So good for Chris. He got up to that 12.5 range, 12.35, somewhere in there. He's getting paid this year. He's going to make a little bit of money, get a little bit of respect. And then next offseason, we'll see. I don't expect him to get more than a 2 or 3 year deal wherever he goes, and probably play 1 or 2 years on that deal, because age does start playing a factor. He is going to start becoming a hired gun unless he decides to call it an early career or can make a full transition to be a ball hawking safety type guy. But we got to be done with coming out on players, calling out on players, trolling on players because of them not wanting to fulfill their contracts, their deals that the teams aren't willing to fulfill, but we somehow hold the players to a different standard and they have to fulfill. One thing that's going to be fulfilled now, and I'm excited about, is more than likely a Fab Five reunion. With Juwan Howard getting the head coaching position, taking over for Beeline at the University of Michigan. We saw that press conference this week. We saw how much it meant to Juwan Howard. He has put in his time being an assistant coach, learning the game, being on the bench. I think this is going to be a great move for their program. I agree with the athletic director. Look, we had to take those banners down from those years and other years because of what happened, what went down with the athletics program. We can't just, because of this momentous occasion, because we might get all of our 5 guys back, King, Jackson, Rose, Weber, and Howard at the arena all at the same time, somehow go against what the NCAA ruling against the school was. Now, we can make it a fan fest. We can welcome everybody back. We can mend fences. We can build the relationship back. We can have them around the program like other programs do, where they're bringing these great alumni back. It'd be great to see Chris Weber out there and, all of them. King, Jackson, Rose, get all the guys out there for a couple things. Maybe even do an honor night or some kind of reunion night. I expect it to be great for recruiting. I expect guys to want to play for Juwan Howard. So I'm excited to see that moving forward for the University of Michigan, similar to the way their football program has always had their alumni and their players come back and be on the sideline and talk to the teams. So looking forward to that quite a bit. Another storyline locally that's out there, kind of caught a lot of people by surprise, was Rockies pitcher Kyle Freeland. He was 4th in the Cy Young voting last year. A lot of expectations for this guy coming into this year, his 3rd season, and he was the ace of the team. Now, Rockies aces in recent years have not been ace-like, and Kyle has had a rough season by any stretch of the means. He's been optioned to 3A Albuquerque, 4th in the Cy Young, to being optioned to Albuquerque. If you look at a comparison of his stats between this year and last year, or even bringing in his first year into the mix, ERA-wise, on the season right now, this season 7.13, last season 2.85. Where's the jump and the difference there? What is making that? What is causing that? Well, there's been a lot of factors that go into it, but for a pitcher, I really think at this point, since there's no physical ailment, since there's not a knee issue, there's not a hip issue, there's nothing with the elbow or the shoulder, we're not hearing anything about the hand, the blister thing from earlier in the season seems to be gone. There has to be something else that's going into it. Last year, 182 hits given up. This year, already 68. Last year, gave up 64 runs. This year, already 50. Last year, 64 earned runs. This year, already 47. Last year, 17 home runs given up. This year, 16 runs given up. So what's going on there? What's the big difference? What has changed? Well, last year, he was not listed as the ace on the roster. Last year, he was the hometown kid, the promising, came off of an 11-11 record, where maybe if he had some more run support, he would have been even better that year in 2017. But the big difference for me, and this goes to show how focused, how dialed in these pitchers have to get. Locally on one of the radio stations, 104.3 The Fan here in Denver, Colorado, they ran a story about the wave, and people on Twitter talking about how they hate the wave. And that led into a story about Kyle Freeland and how if they're doing the wave, he'll wait till it passes before he pitches because it's a distraction. It throws him off. If he sees all of that movement, he loses his focus. For just a second. He wants that done. He wants to be able to dial in and do what he's doing and just deal. And last year, he was just dealing. He didn't feel the pressure of being the best. He didn't feel the pressure, and this could be self-imposed. This could be subconscious. But he didn't have those pressures on him. He was going out and dealing. He was enjoying being the hometown kid. He was enjoying the success. He was enjoying the confidence that he was pitching with all of last season. And he was able to hit his pitches. He was able to get those guys out. He looked impressive. It led us all to think, look at what this Rockies pitching staff is going to be next year. We've got this ace. We've got this guy. And he came in with this mindset, I'm this guy now. I have to be this guy. I have this standard. And instead of just coming in and just dealing and just throwing and just pitching and using his stuff, he's a little bit in his head. It's a little bit of, yes, I know I can do it. Yes, I have the pitches. Yes, I can have the velocity. But I'm holding myself up because I can't make that mistake. Now, he's not overreacting to mistakes. With the 16 home runs he's already given up, you don't see him, melt down and the body language change. But he's not hitting his spots. He's not mixing his pitches the same way. Guys are starting to figure him out. Maybe it's a little bit of the relationship with the catcher and the way the game's being played. But a lot of it to me is he's not just coming out and doing his thing this season the way he was able to last year. Last year, he fought through. Anytime he gave up a big hit or a big, inning, he just fought through it. Came back, was like, okay, I'm a deal. But what changed? Expectations. That pressure of being the guy. Taking that on. That mental approach is what changed. So he's just got to get back to dealing and doing his thing, and I think he's going to be fine. You'll see the numbers correct themselves. The Rockies' bats are coming around. Their catchers are producing. Sentitel is having a pretty decent year. Marquez is a decent year. John Gray's had some good games. Their fifth starter's been Don't really know how they're going to do with Freeland out as they try and get him his confidence back and have him just deal while he's down in Albuquerque figuring it out. But I think he can. I don't think all is lost when it comes to Kyle Freeland. The kid's still got it. He's young. And sometimes youth can be on your side, just like it was this week with the Scripps National Spelling Bee. 8-way tie, all of those kids spelling 40-something words correctly. They almost ran out of words. They went into past midnight spelling words and extra rounds. Nobody missing. Words that nobody's heard of that I can't even pronounce. Impressive for those kids. I hope it's fun for them and it's not just, an authoritative learn the dictionary. But craziness with that spelling bee this week. Sometimes youth pays off because it gives you that bravado, that ability to just go do what you got to do. And that's what we're about here. Do what you got to do. Be real. Until next time, this is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Just be real.